Hello friends. So this is mock test number 1 of Advanced Bank Management, that is called ABM. This is the paper first of CAIIB. So in this mock test we are having 20 questions, and these 20 questions has been derived from the case studies based question. So you also solve along with me, and you must see how much score you are getting. And you may pause the video wherever requirement is there, because in this mock test I'll be giving some explanation. So you take your time, you can pause your video, and you must finish this question within 20 minutes. Okay, so here is the first question. So first question is here: budgeted sales is given 2,60,000, and what is the cost here? It is rupees 10 per unit. Analysis of cost is as follows: raw material 3 rupees per unit, direct labor rupees 4 per unit, overheads rupees 2 per unit, total cost rupees 9 per unit. So first of all you have to understand the question properly, then you can solve very well. Now raw material 3, direct labor 4, overheads 2. If you add these 3 plus 4 plus 2, 9. That means total cost we are getting 9 per unit. Profit, naturally, because sales is rupees 10 per unit, so profit you are getting here rupees 1 per unit, then sales is automatically rupees 10. So this is the about the all production and sales. Now again something is given here: raw material are carried in stock for 3 weeks, because this budgeted sale is given for a whole year, but raw material is carried in stock for 3 weeks and finished goods for 2 weeks. Factory processing will take 3 weeks. Suppliers will give full 5 weeks credit. Customer will require 8 weeks credit. So what is assumption they have given? It may be assumed that production and overheads accrue evenly throughout the year. Now this is the information is given here. Now first question is here: calculate the number of units. Now you have to see here, options are given here, but budgeted sale is 2,60,000 per annum. And what is the cost? It means what is the price of sale? Rupees 10 per unit. So naturally number of units will be 2,60,000 divided by 10. Okay, so solution is given here: 2,60,000 divided by 10. That means 26,000 is the answer. So what is the option correct here? So option 2 is correct here. Now next, moving ahead, second question means now data is same. So you have already understood, and next question is posed here: value of finished goods. So they are asking what is the value of finished good. Now you have to see from where we are getting the value of finished goods. Okay, so where is the value addition? Value addition in finished good is here. First, raw material 3 rupees per unit, direct labor 4 rupees per unit, and overheads 2 rupees per units. Okay, so number of units we already found 26,000. So you multiply with the respective cost and you add all these three. Okay, or because total cost they have given 9, so directly also you can multiply. It's your choice. Now let us see what is the solution here. So solution is given here. So finished good, raw material plus direct labor plus overheads. So total production was 26,000. The cost of raw material per unit was 3, so I multiply with the 3. Direct labor was rupees 4, so multiply with the 4. Overheads rupees 2 per unit, so multiply with the 2. And after that, this will be the value of finished good, means you add all these three, so we are getting 2,34,000. So let's see what is the option. So option is 4, 2,34,000. Now see the next question. Information is same. only question is posed here, what is the value of work in progress? So now you have to see where the work in progress is there. So work is progress consists of means where the production is going on. Means starting from the raw material before the finished goods. मीन जहां से काम करना स्टार्ट हुआ है वहां से लेके फिनिश गुड्स को काउंट नहीं करना है, बिकॉज दे आर टेलिंग वैल्यू ऑफ वर्क इन प्रोग्रेस. सो वेयर इज द वैल्यू ऑफ वर्क इन प्रोग्रेस? नंबर वन, रॉ मटेरियल. नंबर टू, डायरेक्ट लेबर. नंबर थ्री, overheads. But here we cannot take direct value because raw materials are carried in stock for 3 weeks. Means we are not taking whole material for a whole year. Means we are not taking raw material for a whole year. Okay, that means we are taking only raw material for 3 years. Factory processing is taking 3 weeks. So these are very, very important. Means raw material for 3 weeks. Factory processing also taking 3 weeks. So whatever raw material we are taking, will take for that. This is raw material means I got the number of units 26,000. Multiply with the 3 is the raw material for the whole year. Correct? Direct labor rupees 4. Overheads rupees 2. But this is the because our units are 26,000 for a whole year. So what we'll do, we'll convert into 3 weeks and 3 weeks. So how to take the 3 weeks? Means divide by 52. Per week we'll find out, then multiply with the 3. Now see the calculation here. Okay. So raw material 26 into 3. Again 3, 26,000 into 3, 78,000 into 3 because 3 weeks are there. Divided by 52. So we are getting 4,500. Labor rupees 4. So 26,000 into 4, we are getting 1,04,000 into, because it is 3 weeks. So into 3 divided by 52. And one more thing is there. Labor and overheads, because whole labor is not applied on the full raw material. Means because labor पूरे 3 weeks में काम करते हैं. Starting में धीरे धीरे slowly they will work. So we have to take the average of that also. So divide by 1/2. This concept you have to keep in mind. Where the raw material, जो भी raw material you are using, that is whole you have to take. So this is the concept you have to keep in mind, like labor and overheads you have to take the average, means you divide by 2. So I'll just show you here 26,000 into 4 because the cost is rupees 4 for the labor. 3 weeks, then divide by 52 because 52 weeks are there. Then take average means 1/2. So we are getting 3,000 rupees. Overheads cost is rupees 2 for 26,000. So 26,000 into 2, we are getting 52,000 into 3 weeks. Divide by 52, again average 1/2. So 1,500. So you add all these values together. Okay, so 4,500, 3,000 and 1,500. So value of work in progress is coming rupees 9,000. So what is the answer here? Answer is second. Now see the next question. Fourth one. Data is same here. Calculate the current assets. So current assets means whatever assets you are having. This includes everything, means your finished goods as well as your semi-finished good, means work in progress, and your debtors, means like suppliers, not supplier. Customer will require 8 weeks credit. Okay, so this is your assets. So now means you have to find out, you have to calculate your cost of finished good, your cost of semi-finished good, means your work in progress. Work in progress we already calculated 9,000 rupees. So no problem. Now see, and you have to check the data once again here. Customer will require 8 weeks credit. Okay, so this you have to convert into 8 weeks because from 52 weeks you have to convert into 52 weeks. So let us see the calculation here. Okay, and so to calculate the current assets, work in progress, finished goods, debtors, and one more thing is raw material, because whatever raw material you have purchased, that you have to take into current assets. Okay, so what is the cost of raw material? 78,000. We already calculated here. Okay, because rate is, you can see rate is given rupees 3. So 26,000 into 3, 78,000. And we are keeping raw material for 3 weeks. So into 3 divided by 52 weeks. So 4,500 is the cost of raw material. Okay. Work in progress. Work in progress we have already calculated, that is 9,000 rupees. Finished goods. So finished good, the cost is 2,34,000. We already calculated the first question, 2,34,000, not first, second. Okay, 2,34,000 into 2 divided by 52, because we are keeping finished good for 2 weeks here. That's why into 2 divided by 52. So we are getting 9,000 rupees. Debtors, they are taking 8 weeks time, and here we are taking total sales 2,60,000, because when we sell it, we take the selling value. So 2,60,000 into 8 divided by 52. So you are getting 40,000 rupees. You add all this amount. So total current asset we are getting 62,500. Now next, see the next question. Fifth one, data is same. Only you have to calculate the current liabilities. So current liability is very easy. Just see solution. Current liability equal to trade creditors, because there is nothing liabilities there, only trade creditors. Means you are purchasing your raw material on credit. So your creditor is giving you 5 weeks time you. Okay, so you convert into 5 weeks. 5 weeks means 5 by 52 into 78,000, means whatever raw material you are purchasing, because you are purchasing raw material rupees 3 per unit, and 26,000 into 3, so into 5 divided by 52. So this is your current liability. What is current liability? 7,500. Now see the next question. Now data is same here. Okay, now they are required to calculate working capital. So what is working capital? Working capital is nothing but formula current assets minus current liability. So current assets minus current liabilities. So 62,000 we have already calculated both the values, current assets 62,500 minus current liabilities 7,500. So we are getting here 55,000 rupees. So you have seen, if you understand the first question and you start solving one by one, subsequent questions become very easy. Okay, now moving ahead, we'll take different question here. 6 out of 40 students plan to go to graduate school. Calculate the estimated proportion of all students who plans to go to graduate school. So here is the question of direct probability they are asking. So you know probability, total of favorable ways divided by total number of ways, or you can say outcomes. Total number of favorable outcomes divided by total number of outcomes. So 6 divided by 40. If you divide 6 by 40, we are getting 0.15. So 0.15 is the answer. Then option 2 is correct here. Okay. Now next, based on same data. Okay, 6 out of 40 students plan to go to school. Calculate the standard error of this estimate. This formula you have to note down and you have to learn by heart, because there is no way. And every time they keep on asking this question. So a standard error formula, I'll just show you. It is square root probability 1 minus probability, means probability of happening and probability of not happening, you multiply divide by n and take square root. So probability we already found here 0.15. So 1 minus p also called q. You can say pq. 1 minus p is also called q. So you can put q also here. No problem. So 1 minus p, we got 0.85 multiply. So 0.15, 0.85 multiply and divide by 40. So when you divide by 40, we are getting 0.00314. Then take a square root. We'll get the estimated standard error. So this formula is very, very important. You can note down somewhere. Square root p 1 minus p divided by n. Okay, so what is the option here? Option 3 is correct. 0.0565. Okay, now next. 6 out of 40 students plan to go to same question is there. Calculate binomial standard deviation of the population. So the formula binomial standard deviation little bit change from this. If you see the previous formula is square root p 1 minus p divided by n. Now slight change is there. N will go top. Okay, just see the formula. N will go top. The square root is there. P and Q are there. That means P1 minus P are there. Only N which you divided, now it is multiplied. So in this way you can correlate. Now, so I put the value 40, 0.15, 0.85. You multiply, take a square root. When you multiply, you're getting 5.1. Take a square root, you're getting 2.26. So option is 2.26 the correct answer. Now, see the next question. Same question is there. They are asking confidence interval. But 90% confidence. This concept you have to remember. Okay. For that purpose, some data is given here that jet factor is called. No, that you have to remember. You can note down somewhere. Because when I passed CIB, so I also noted down. I learned these values. So I'll just show you before solution. Okay. Now, level of confidence and they're multiplied is jet. Okay, this note down 99%, 2.58, 95%, 1.96, and 90%, 1.645. This value you have to remember. Okay, sometimes they will give you in the question, sometimes will not be in the question. You have to use from your side. Okay, so in the question they are asking the 90% confidence level. So what is the formula? Formula here is the probability plus minus, means because you have to get two values here. So one you have to take plus, then second you take the minus. Z into this sigma x. Okay, sigma x means, now just show you sigma x, what you got here. Sigma x standard error. Okay, so must remember the standard error. Okay, now see the value 0.0565. So a standard error. So means how much value will deviate from the probability, that is called. So this is the standard error. 1.645 we are getting from 90%. So probability 1. So I put the value p plus 1.645 into 0.0565 is the standard error. You multiply, add it. So we are getting 0.2429. Second time you have to subtract. Same formula is there, but p minus 1.645 into this and you get 0.571. So we are getting 2429, 0.571. Okay. So option second is correct here. Right. So this formula you must remember what is the confidence interval, because many times they keep on asking question. Only they change this your confidence level. 90%, 95%, 99%, and so on. So next question, they have changed this confidence level here. So now you can calculate yourself. Data is same here, only you have to put the different value of Z here. So for the 95%, the value of Z is 1.96. I'll show you once again here. So value of Z is 95%, 1.96. So I put the value here 1.96. Sigma x is same 0.567. So 0.15, 1.96, calculate yourself. So we are getting 0.2607. Next time you subtract. So same calculation 0.15 minus 1.96 into this. Calculate. So we are getting 0.039. So what is the answer here? So see once again 0.26, 0.39, 0.26, 0.3. So this answer means fourth option is correct here. So these formulas were very, very important. If you know very well, it's very good. If you don't know, keep a note down somewhere so that you can revise in future. Okay. Next, it is question based on capital budgeting. Very, very important chapter. Okay. Now data is given here. If receipt and expenditure of the central government year is given here are as follows. Revenue receipt A plus B. A plus B is given. That means revenue receipt total they have given 8.7. This one has been broken into two parts, A and B, tax revenue, non-tax revenue. Second, revenue expenditure, again it has been broken into three parts. Interest payment, major subsidies, defense expenditure. Capital receipt, once again 5.2 they have broken into this part. And fourth is the capital expenditure. And one more thing you have to keep in mind that your revenue expenditure of is 12.3. Okay. And this 12.3 total is not coming here. So some other expenditure may be there. Okay. Now, capital receipt A plus B plus C 5.2 they have given here, no problem. This total is correct. Capital expenditure 1.6 they have given here. Now, they are asking find fiscal deficit. So fiscal deficit is all, you can remember the formula, total expenditure minus total receipt. Okay, total expenditure minus total receipt. So now we have to see here total expenditure is how much, total receipt is how much. So we are going to calculate fiscal deficit. So how much fiscal deficit is there? Okay, so now we'll see the formula here. So fiscal deficit formula is here, total expenditure minus total receipt net of borrowings and other liabilities. That means here we are not counting our borrowings and other liabilities. Keep in mind. Okay, so what is our total expenditure? Total expenditure we can see it is 13.9. We can see 8.7. Total expenditure is here. We can say 1.6 and 12.3. So it is coming 13.9. Now, what are the receipts are there? So 8.7, 0.2, 0.3. Receipts you can see 8.7 is the revenue receipt total. And out of the capital you can see recovery of loan is there and 0.3 is there. So we will not count the liabilities. Means borrowings will not count here. Okay. So you do the calculation, we are getting answer 13.9, 8.7, 0.2, 0.3, 13.9, 9.2, 8, 4.7. Okay. But one more shortcut I will tell you, this fiscal deficit is always equal to your borrowings, 4.7. So if you are smart enough, don't calculate anything. Directly we can write what is the fiscal deficit. It is always equal to borrowings. Okay. So I told you the formula also, but directly you can write whatever the borrowing is there, that is always equal to your fiscal deficit. Okay. So next question 16 is that data is same here, primary deficit. So primary deficit is nothing but fiscal deficit minus interest payment. So fiscal deficit we have already calculated 4.7 and interest is paid 3.1. You can see here interest payment is 3.1. Interest payment is 3.1. You subtract. So thus just remember the formula. What is primary deficit? From the fiscal deficit you subtract interest payment. Okay, so 4.7 minus 3.1 you will get 1.6. Okay, next I read the question 17 here. There are two methods of performance appraisal. Which of the following are not correct? The traditional method emphasizes on rating the individual personality trait. The traditional method lay importance on job achievement. The modern method lay emphasis on rating and individual personality traits. So we have to see means which is not correct. So traditional method emphasize on rating the individual on personality trait is correct. So that means naturally traditional method lay emphasis on job achievement is incorrect. Okay. Modern method lay emphasis on rating the individual personality trait is also incorrect because traditional method lay emphasis on personality traits. So second and third are incorrect. So answers are means this second and third. Okay, so second and third are the correct. Now moving ahead. Which type of compensation in the following are matched properly? Top and middle management salary, clerical or administrative staff salary, unskilled, semi-skilled, skilled or highly skilled staff wages. So if you see the data here, which is matched properly, top and middle management, they don't get salary, they get their remuneration. Okay, so this you have to keep in mind. Top and middle management, they get their remuneration, where the clerical administrative staff, they get salary, is correctly matched. And third one, unskilled, semi-skilled, skilled and highly skilled staff, they get wages. So again here, second and third are correctly matched. Now next, 19 question. In 360-degree appraisal method, the appraisal of an employee is done by 360-degree. Now by the question itself you'll come to know 360-degree means all round. So in 360-degree appraisal method, who is doing the appraisal of an employee? Senior, colleague or subordinate? So answer is all of the above. It is 360. So answer is all of the above. So now we are at the last question. In which of the following situation would sigma x bar equal to sigma divided by square root n would be correct formula for you computing the, okay. So this is the standard deviation. So standard deviation, this sigma x bar equal to sigma divided by square root n. Sampling, this question is from the sampling, okay. Sampling is from finite population without replacement. Sampling is from finite population with replacement. Sampling is from infinite population. You must keep in mind this formula is applicable only when infinite population is there. But when you do the replacement, so sampling infinite also become, means finite also become infinite because you are replacing every time. Okay. So here also second and third options are correct. So option C is correct. So now you can see how many questions you have answered correctly. If you have answered 12 questions, you are very good. If you have answered 10 questions correctly, you are good. And if you have answered less than 10 questions, that means you have to work hard. That means still some improvement is required from your side. Okay. So these were the mock test for you. This is a set 1. So for the next set, you please continue watching my video. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Good day.